Welcome back to the workshop for one more video on the depth first search. Now this is going to be a quick video with just a definition, an example, and a theorem in it. And then there's going to be one more example that I've already recorded and posted on YouTube. So let's take a look at a definition, example, and a theorem very briefly. All right, you may have seen this already, but a bridge in a graph is an edge whose removal, if we were to take that edge away, we would have a disconnected graph. It would no longer be connected. So what does that look like? That's all that we want to show in this example. If we had, let's say, a pretty simple graph here. Let's say we had a triangle and another triangle, and then they were connected with this edge right here. If I were to get rid of that edge, I would have a disconnected graph. Okay, but having that edge, I have a connected graph. So this edge right here is called a bridge. Notice that if I were to remove any of the other edges, the graph would still be connected. So none of the other edges are bridges, still connected. Okay, so this is the only bridge in the graph. All right, what does that do for us? Well, what we can do with that concept, knowing what a bridge is, if we apply the depth first search algorithm to a graph and assign it the labelings, what we can do is we can take that graph and turn it into a strongly connected directed graph. So remember that a strongly connected directed graph is a directed graph that has a path from each vertex to every other vertex. Okay, so not just, so if I were to take, let's see here, for example, just really simple graph like this. Okay, very simple graph here. If I were to consider giving directions to these edges, if I went like this, this graph would not be strongly connected because I can't get from C to B, or from D to A, or from A to D for that matter, right? I can go hardly anywhere on this graph. But if I were to assign the directions a little bit differently, let's say I assigned the directions as going this way, going this way, going this way, and going this way. Then, of course, I could get from A to D, and D to A to B, B to A, and whatever other combination I want. I can get anywhere that I want to from wherever I want to be. So this would be a strongly connected graph. And so if we were to have started with an unlabeled graph like this, then I could apply the depth first search algorithm and end up with a graph that is strongly connected. For example, I could assign a label 1 dash, assign a label 2 predecessor A, assign a label 3 predecessor B, and assign a label 4 predecessor D. Now, how do we assign the directions? Well, what we do is we recognize that T here, the set of edges, is AB, BD, and DC. That is our that is our tree for this, and these are called the tree edges. So for all of the tree edges, what we do is we assign a direction from the lower numbering to the higher numbering. So from 1 to 2, and from 2 to 3, and from 3 to 4. So we assign that direction to all of the tree edges. Now to all of the back edges, which would be this edge here, right? Those that are not in the tree. This is the only edge not in the tree. For this edge, what we would do is we would assign the direction from the higher number to the lower number. And that's what this theorem says. If we assign the numbering, or sorry, the numbering we get from the depth first search, but if we assign the directions based on a numbering in this way, then what we have as a result is a strongly connected graph. Excellent. And that's all that we wanted to take a look at for this video. The next example, again, would be covered in the next video, which you'll see me working on the chalkboard for. So thank you for your time and attention. I'll see you guys back in the workshop very shortly.